Hello, this is Sarah V, and today I am going to be making another skirt. I am going to be making Simplicity 2701, and I haven't decided whether I'd like to do the view with the belt carriers or the view with the tabs. I am going to be using this window pane flannel plaid from Joann that I got probably like 3 years ago maybe. I don't think I'm going to be putting pockets in it, but yeah. Before cutting things out, I am just ironing my pattern pieces. I copied these from the pattern onto some banner paper. I usually use alphanumeric paper, but I had this left over from college. And the only downside to it is the width is much smaller than alphanumeric paper, and it rolls up really bad, so I have to iron it. I also like to punch holes in my patterns so I can hang them up. This is a 3/4 inch hole punch that I bought from Joann. Now that my pattern is sorted, I am laying out my center front panel. I measured the center of each square so that it would be evenly centered. One of my goals for this year is to just buy no more fabric because there's no more room in my house and it's really starting to pile up in here. So I'm just hoping to decrease what is in here. I am folding this pattern piece along the grain line, so whenever I line it up, I can just easily see where it is along the ends. And I am using the notches from the previous panel to figure out where this one should go to match the plaid. I do this for each panel, and I cut this out single layer, and I take the pattern off the last one, flip it over, and do the other side before I get to the next one. And then I just mash the whole way around until I get to the center back. Another thing I would like to do this year is I would like to do more embroidery, especially on my clothes, and just more little embroidery projects. Because I wanted to do some last year and I didn't get around to it because the fall kind of passed. So I'm probably just going to save that project for fall of 2024. Another thing I want to do this year is make a nice pair of pants and then just be able to make some more of those. But I have to get around to actually making a pair of pants so that I even know that the pattern would be good for making more pants. I'm thinking kind of like a 1940s, 1950s jean kind of deal, but we'll see. For my waistband, I just kind of cut a strip out that was the same width as the waistband from the pattern. And I make it way longer than it needs to be, and then whatever I decide I don't want, I just kind of cut it out. For these belt carriers, I am cutting them on the bias, and then for the inside pieces, I am cutting them on the straight of grain wherever I can fit them on the scraps of fabric. Now that it is all cut out, I can mark the darts. There is one dart on each side front panel and one on each side back panel, and I'm just following this up by pinning the darts closed so that it can be sewn. Over at my machine, I can wind a bobbin. I am using a Singer Touch and Sew that has the bobbin winder in the bobbin case. After it is done winding, I can close the throat plate and start sewing. I am starting by sewing the darts. Before I can sew anything else, I need to press the darts, and I press those towards the center front. Back at the machine, I am sewing all of the carriers for later. I just had them prepped, and then I was just able to sew them all. I am now sewing the seams. That will be at the side front and the side back. I only sewed the right side. On the left side, I sewed up the side seam, leaving the top open for the zipper, and sewed down from where the zipper ended to the bottom. Before putting the zipper in, I serged all the seams and pressed them. Then I came back to the machine to put in the zipper, starting with the back and then lapping it and sewing the front. I am also now sewing the side seam of the other side. After pressing it, I can sew the last two seams connecting the center front and center back panels to the center front side panel and center back side panel. Before sewing the waistband on, I pressed the remaining seams and tried it on and found that the back was 4 inches too big, so I took it in at the back at the 2 side back seams. And it's kind of funny because I put 4 inches in because there was a 4-inch deficit in what the pattern measurement size was. So I just added 4 inches and it ended up being too big. My mother got me some labels for Christmas, and this will be the very first ever garment that will have a label in it with my little name. After I quickly stitched in the label, I turned the inside of the waistband under and edge stitched from the outside, catching the inside while I sew. After clipping, turning, and pressing the carriers, I followed the pattern's instructions for putting them on the waistband. I sewed the carriers on from the right side. Think about an 1/8 inch from the edge of the top of the waistband, and that will just be hidden when the carrier folds down. Now for some light hand sewing. I am whip stitching the inside of the carrier down and whip stitching the bottom of the carriers down on the outside, along with sewing a skirt hook on the waistband. After turning the hem up 1 inch, I hand sewed it down. To finish her up, I am just giving her a nice press along her hem so that she lays all nice. Overall, I'm quite happy with how this skirt turned out. I think I'll get a lot of wear out of it, and it matches with solids very well. So that's very exciting, although I do need to make more plain skirts to go with my patterned sweaters. But that is for another day. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you'd like to see more sewing content, please subscribe. If you'd like to see what I'm up to day to day, feel free to follow me on Instagram at SarahVSewsVintage. Thank you again for watching, and see you next time.